Live corridor, relatively dry, but here come the brighter colors, and it's just going to rain all get out later on tonight. In the morning, it's going to be raining as well. Kind of a stormy start at the bus stop. Temperatures in the lower 50s. Rain and wind expected to decrease tomorrow afternoon. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Rob Marciano. World News Tonight is next.
News tonight, the Afghan capital is liberated from the Taliban. The Northern Alliance hunts down the Taliban and their supporters, sometimes a man at a time. The Al-Qaeda house in Kabul, now where is Osama bin Laden? American Airlines Flight 587, what they heard in the cockpit when catastrophe struck. And finally tonight, pushing Harry Potter, the global corporate strategy.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. The Taliban have left the Afghan capital, Kabul, and the Bush administration says the war is far from over. Kabul is now in the hands of the Northern Alliance. The alliance says its troops are now headed south toward Kandahar, 300 miles away, the last major city under Taliban control. In several days, the Taliban, the Northern Alliance, has gone from controlling 15% of the country to controlling half of it. ABC's David Wright went into Kabul with the troops today. David?
Peter, 24 hours ago, we had little idea that we would actually be reporting to you tonight from Kabul. And what's truly extraordinary is that the Taliban, who ruled this region with an iron fist, overnight seems to have just melted away. It did not take long. There was virtually no resistance. And this morning, as the forces of the Northern Alliance rolled into Kabul, the people took to the streets, including mothers and daughters who haven't shown their faces since September 1996, since the Taliban took Kabul. Zindabad, they shouted, long life. Kabul has been liberated, literally. Everywhere there are signs that life has changed. In the bazaar today, people did things the Taliban had forbidden. Grown men flew kites. People listened to music. And there were these young men who walked out of a Taliban jail and immediately did something else that had been illegal.
And this is what we're interested in.
They shaved. Barbers were busy today. Every stroke of the razor a political statement. Across this city, there were also ugly scenes. As people took revenge on the Taliban and its foreign supporters, a mob surrounded a jeep and went after a Pakistani prisoner. At the Taliban military headquarters, destroyed by American bombs, a shipping container now serves as a makeshift jail. It is filled with trash and with Taliban prisoners. By the side of the road, 4 bodies, Arab soldiers, executed early this morning. Asked about the treatment of prisoners, the local commander just smiled. The people, he says, are angry. There are soldiers and policemen on every street corner, and everyone here seems happy to see them. This has been an extraordinary day. Officials with the Northern Alliance say there are some 6,000 soldiers in this city right now, serving as a sort of military police. There's a curfew that took effect at 10 o'clock last night and is just lifting now. And Peter, the soldiers look very carefully into the cars, watching for Taliban faces.
Thank you, David. David Wright, ABC's David Wright in Kabul tonight. There were reports of atrocities committed by Northern Alliance forces elsewhere in Afghanistan. UN officials said publicly tonight that more than 100 young people sympathetic to the Taliban were killed by Northern Alliance forces at a religious school in Mazar-e-Sharif on Saturday. Another of our longtime colleagues, the British Broadcasting Corporation's John Simpson, was also in Kabul today. He came across some extraordinary scenes right after the fall.
In the surroundings of the Intercontinental Hotel in the center of Kabul, we caught sight of a group of Arab and Pakistani Taliban trying desperately to escape the vengeance of the people of Kabul. A group of soldiers is hunting them down. Another one's bringing up some grenades to flush them out. They're trapped inside this building. But some local people have caught another one of the Taliban. He's an Arab. They make him call the others to get them to come out and surrender. And eventually it works. They're brought out as prisoners. This man is a Pakistani. The Arab gets particularly brutal treatment. In the jeep, there are other Taliban prisoners. This is the end of the Taliban in Afghanistan.
The BBC's John Simpson in Kabul. Simpson also came on a house where members of Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda organization are believed to have lived and worked. The place had been ransacked, but the reporters found all sorts of interesting documents, training certificates, and organizational chart. A business card from a Canadian company that specialized in flight simulators, and a manual in English with instructions on how to blow up bridges. Kabul's been a very unpredictable place for the last couple of days. A colleague of John Simpson, William Reeve of the BBC, was broadcasting live from there today when this happened. They don't know if it was a missile or a bomb, but they were all very fortunate, and no one was hurt. At the Pentagon today, the Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld said that U.S. Special Forces were on the ground in Kabul and in the southern part of the country as well, which the Taliban still controls. He also said that disarray in Afghanistan offered the U.S. an advantage in finding Osama bin Laden. ABC's John McCarthy is at the Pentagon tonight, as always, where I gather from what I hear today, John, they are pleased and a little nervous.
Peter, Pentagon officials are delighted with what has happened on the ground in Afghanistan, but they also are aware that it is something that they are not quite sure of where it is going to go from here. American Special Operations troops were outside Kabul this morning and later moved with Afghan opposition forces into the city. The Pentagon signaled it would quickly make use of territory taken by the Northern Alliance, with plans to repair and use 2 airfields, one outside Kabul and one near Mazar-e-Sharif in the north. They would be used to bring in humanitarian and military supplies. Officials say that American warplanes are bombing the Taliban as its forces retreat from Kabul, showing no mercy.
If they reorganize in the south, we're going to go get them. If they go to ground, we will, as the president said, root them out.
In the midst of all the chaos, intelligence sources tell ABC News that Osama bin Laden and his inner circle are on the move, having left the mountain caves where they were believed to be hiding.
As they are moving away from places they've previously been located, they're visible.
Or so the U.S. hopes. Officials say extra AC-130 gunships were brought into the area for their ability to monitor the roads and to react quickly. The U.S. has also put more special operations troops into southern Afghanistan. They are not working with opposition groups, officials say, but they are devoting their efforts entirely to the hunt for bin Laden. Peter?
Thank you, John. John McCarthy at the Pentagon. Now let's go to the White House. President Bush had a meeting today, the first of several this week, with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and afterwards they talked to reporters about Afghanistan. ABC's Terry Moran was there. Terry, as good as today was, they're also a bit anxious.
They are a bit, Peter, because with events unfolding so rapidly in Afghanistan, the question of what comes next there has become paramount for President Bush. The Northern Alliance has pledged to the president that their move into the capital is temporary.
They intend not to occupy Kabul, which is fine. That's the way it ought to be. And we will continue to work with their commanders. We've got troops there with their commanders, and we will continue to urge restraint.
At a joint press conference with the Russian president, Mr. Putin said the Northern Alliance forces had no choice but to enter the city.
There was complete lawlessness in that city, and the situation must be put under control.
In the scramble now to create a post-Taliban government, Mr. Bush said the Northern Alliance should not assume that they have an advantage.
There is no preferential place at the bargaining table. All people will be treated the same.
At the UN today, an effort to form a post-Taliban government. Diplomats were planning a grand council of Afghan tribal leaders from all parts of the country, with the exiled king presiding. But the man in charge of the UN effort said a new government is an urgent matter.
Time is now of the essence, and it is indispensable and urgent that the efforts of the various Afghan groups be brought together.
Until that occurs, the UN is considering a multinational force from Muslim countries. But U.S. officials admitted that American and British troops may have to move in first. Afghanistan dominated this meeting, which once would have been called a summit, but there were other more familiar issues discussed. Most notably, Peter, President Bush announced an astonishing 2/3 reduction in the U.S. offensive nuclear arsenal, and President Putin said Russia would respond in kind.
Thanks, Terry. A subject we'll return to later in the week. Finally, on the subject of Afghanistan for today, a quick conversation with the Pakistani journalist who knows the Taliban and the region so well. We've talked to Ahmed Rashid many times. We made the latest call just a few hours ago. Ahmed, so what has happened to the Taliban? A strategic retreat or what?
What we know is that hundreds of Taliban have thrown down their weapons and have come up to the Pakistan border and are trying to get in as refugees. Hundreds more have gone back to their villages, not wanting to fight anymore. But there's still a strong hard core which is rallying around Mullah Omar and the Arab leadership under bin Laden, who are going to fight. They've taken to the mountains.
And do they have the potential to mount an effective guerrilla war, do you think?
They're going to be like fish out of water, because more and more commanders now are going in trying to rally their tribes and their clans against the Taliban.
Is this war on the verge of being over, or is it a phase that is over?
I think a phase is over. I think what we are going to see now for several weeks and possibly months is a great ferment and military action in the south of the country. What hopefully we're going to see in the north of the country now is humanitarian relief, aid workers coming in, feeding the Afghan population, and the start of a process to set up a new Afghan government.
Today in Afghanistan, and a momentous day. When we come back, we'll turn to the American Airlines crash. What the black boxes say. From Washington tonight, casting a dragnet for 5,000 men, the latest from the Justice Department. And at the end of the broadcast, the Harry Potter stratagem on the eve of the movie.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Gateway.
Okay, the coast is clear. Good. Listen, Teddy, everyone's excited about the new Windows XP, right? Yeah. Well, now we get them really fired up. We take XP, we load it onto our 300S. We add a free CD burner, include a flat screen, and we sell it all for $9.99.
$9.99 with a flat screen?
Exactamundo.
Tired of struggling down glass after glass of powdered fiber for regularity? Consider refreshing glasses of water with FiberCon tablets. A whole lot easier to take.
And every bit as effective as powder.
FiberCon, refreshingly easier to take.
Ziploc containers test number 3. With our new divided containers, a sandwich, salad, and brownie doesn't turn into a brownie salad sandwich. Ziploc, all you ever wanted in a container.
Your eyes need nutrition as well as the rest of your body, so Centrum and Centrum Silver added lutein to help maintain your precious sight. Now your eyes, your toes, and everything in between are covered by Centrum and Centrum Silver. More complete from A to Zinc.
After the new Chevy Trailblazer, everything else just seems kind of weak. The all-new 270 horsepower Chevy Trailblazer, like a rock.
Imagine combining the stain-fighting power of Efferdent and freshening power of Listerine. You'd get Efferdent Plus. It's extra fresh, and nothing gets your dentures cleaner. Efferdent Clean, Listerine Fresh. That's Efferdent Plus.
In New York today, police said 262 bodies have been found in the wreckage of American Airlines Flight 587, and that includes 2 people who were on the ground. 5 more are still missing. Investigators have now found both of the black boxes, and here is ABC's Lisa Snark on the investigation the day afterwards. Lisa?
Well, Peter, the National Transportation Safety Board has done most of the analysis on the cockpit voice recorder, which was found first. Sources say there is no sound of an explosion on that recorder, and investigators say the evidence still points toward an accident, not a terrorist attack. New York police were on Jamaica Bay near Kennedy Airport today searching for more wreckage. They found the plane's rudder in the water. And investigators released new information about what was on the cockpit voice recorder. The first hint of a problem came less than 2 minutes after takeoff.
At 107 seconds after the start of the takeoff roll, an airframe rattling noise was heard.
Something was causing the plane to shake. 7 seconds later, the captain says he believes they are flying through the wake turbulence of a jet up ahead. 7 seconds after that, the Airbus A300 shakes again. The co-pilot, who is flying the plane, calls for maximum engine power, but that does not help.
There are several comments suggesting loss of control of the aircraft at 127 seconds after the takeoff roll initiation.
17 seconds later, the plane crashes. From the first hint of a problem to the end, a total of 37 seconds. Aviation experts are trying to figure out how the plane came apart, which pieces came off first. They are puzzled that a section of the tail snapped off cleanly and fell into the bay.
The central question is what caused the vertical stabilizer to fail? And perhaps wake turbulence played a role.
Clues may come from the flight data recorder, which was found today with the main wreckage. It is a big break for investigators. The recorder may contain valuable information about the plane's engines, as well as its mechanical and navigational systems. And they will look very closely at the GE engines. Engines like these have had problems in the past. Now, the plane that took off ahead of the American Airlines flight was a 747. Investigators are still trying to determine if it was close enough to cause the kind of severe turbulence it would take to break apart American Airlines Flight 587. Peter?
Thanks, Lisa. Lisa Stark at the scene of the crash today. There was an interesting and sad scene in the other New York City neighborhood today, which was so badly affected, Washington Heights. Tonight, the residents there constructed a makeshift memorial for the people who died. Washington Heights has a very large population of Dominican Americans, and the vast majority of people on Flight 587 were Dominican. This is also a community which lost many people in the attack on the trade towers. When we come back this evening, the Justice Department has another idea which raises some civil rights questions. And at the end of the broadcast, as we said, the strategy to conquer the world, the selling of Harry Potter.
Why do I eat?
New Healthy Choice Creamy Tomato Soup. Why?
Because it has delicious, rich, sun-ripened tomatoes.
Why else do I eat Healthy Choice Soup? That's why.
If I had a man like Hefty,
he'd always be coming up with new ways to impress me.
Introducing Hefty the Gripper, the first kitchen bag with a stretch and grip top so it hugs the can and won't slip.
Oh, and he'd know how to hold on tight.
And he wouldn't cave under pressure. Nothing's made like the Gripper. It stretches, grips, and stays put so it can take it like a man.
And when I'm done with him, ciao, baby.
Bye-bye. So long. The Gripper. New from Hefty. The strong, dependable type.
Don't get that, Frank.
Hello? Baxter!
Crunchy Meow Mix seafood middles. Mackerel and tuna flavors make it taste so good. Cats ask for it. By name.
Is 106 cubic feet of interior space really necessary? As a matter of fact, it is. Avalon, the most spacious sedan we've ever created.
Over the years, I've learned that when something works, you stick with it. There you go. After bypass surgery a few years ago, I needed to lower my cholesterol. My doctor told me about Zocor. He said Zocor, along with a healthy diet and exercise, could really lower my cholesterol. Okay, let's do it again. Taking Zocor every day has kept my cholesterol where it should be and significantly reduces the risk of heart attack among people with high cholesterol and heart disease. That's something to feel good about.
Zocor is a prescription medication and is not for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems because serious side effects can result. Tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience and about any medicines you are taking.
Good job! When diet and exercise aren't enough, ask your doctor about Zocor. Take care of yourself. It's your future. Be there.
Tomorrow, what if the same technology that the Pentagon uses to track missiles could cure your sinus problems forever? This isn't sci-fi. Don't miss Good Morning America.
From Washington quite late today, a piece of news the implications of which we do not quite yet fully understand. Before he left for Texas today, President Bush signed a military order which allows non-U.S. citizens accused of terrorism to be tried by special military courts. The White House says the order was designed for suspects accused of being at the highest levels of international terrorism. And it is, the White House says, the same kind of order used by President Franklin Roosevelt and Lincoln during wartime. The Justice Department also said today that it has drawn up a list of 5,000 young men that it wants to question. They have all come to the United States in the last 2 years. With the details, ABC's Pierre Thomas in Washington.
Law enforcement officials plan to interview men ages 18 to 33 who entered the U.S. since January 2000 from countries where Osama bin Laden is known to have operatives.
Justice has a new mission, a new calling against an old evil.
Sources tell ABC News the people under scrutiny come from a variety of countries, including U.S. allies, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Egypt. Justice Department officials say the interviews are voluntary, and that the men they plan to contact are not suspects, but people who may have useful information. But once again, some say the Justice Department has touched a nerve when it comes to civil rights.
It has to do with perhaps students and families or parents that do not want to see their daughter or son, in the case of the males here, subjected to what they might think is racial profiling or religious profiling or ethnic profiling.
Law enforcement officials plan to start looking for the men immediately. Pierre Thomas, ABC News, Washington.
Now we turn to economics. There was a surge of optimism today on Wall Street. Stocks increased sharply as the Taliban fled Kabul, and investors realized that yesterday's airline crash appears unrelated to terrorism. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 196 points to close at 9,750. On the NASDAQ, stocks were up almost 52 points. When we come back, last item in the broadcast, the Harry Potter offensive. It is all about art and commerce.
C. Move. Beat. The future of vitamin C is here. Ester C, a patented non-acidic vitamin C that supports your immune system and the health of your eyes, joints, and cardiovascular system. Don't settle for less. Ester C, your body will know the difference.
It was my grandson's birthday. He just turned 3. We're going to move him out of his crib and buy him a big boy bed. Hello? I was on chemo then, and I was exhausted. Grandpa. I said to the doctor, I need help. I'm on a mission.
If you're a chemotherapy patient and feel tired and weak, you may be anemic. Ask your doctor about Procrit. Procrit is a natural way to regain red blood cells lost during chemotherapy. And more red blood cells can mean more strength.
Oh, this is a great one. This is a good one.
Procrit is proven and safe. In studies, only diarrhea and edema occurred more often with Procrit than placebo. Procrit is for patients with non-myeloid cancers.
How do you like it up here now?
Good.
Call now and learn how Procrit can help you get back the strength you need.
See? What'd I tell you?
Your strength for living.
He takes a lot of energy, but I never get tired of him.
Super Polygrip gives me everything I want in an adhesive. I want firm hold. I want long-lasting hold. I want a snug fit. With Super Polygrip, I now have the confidence to just pick up a cob of corn and eat it, bite it, and enjoy it.
When that pastrami on rye catches up with me, hot burn, big time. My passenger says, here, take a Zantac 75. I say, What are you, a doctor? And he says, yeah.
Zantac 75, the heartburn relief doctors trust.
The more you live, the more a bladder control issue shouldn't hold you back. New Serenity Slender gives you 3 layers of protection. The core of super absorbers keeps you drier. New Serenity Slender. More protection, less pad.
This holiday season, working late in the dark, your friends were all busy decorating 2 parks. Such beauty was hung through the evening with care for you and your family together to share. And here's a holiday offer to fill you with glee. With each 3-day adult package, 1 child gets in free. So gather your loved ones and head for our house. All the creatures are stirring, especially the mouse, at Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure. Call 1-877-700-DISNEY or your travel agent.
I'm Paul Lenman. Coming up next on K2 News, did Flight 587's engines fail after sucking in birds? See what PDX is doing to keep our runways safe. Plus, a theft ring busted after the alleged criminals are caught on tape by one of their victims. And she claims to be a teenager. The jury selection begins in the trial of Treva Throneberry. We'll see you next at 6:30.
There are missing nuclear materials, and there's new evidence of a black market connection to this man. Just how close is he to having nuclear materials? On World News Tonight.
Finally this evening, here he comes again, Harry Potter. Indeed, for many people, he is a welcome, if brief, distraction from all the news about war and terrorism. And you've probably already heard that the boy wizard from the books is about to appear in the movies. If you haven't heard, it isn't because his patrons aren't trying. The first Harry Potter movie opens on Friday. Talk about marketing. Here's ABC's Brian Rooney.
Mr. Potter, our new celebrity.
But Harry Potter is much more than a book, more than a movie. The boy wizard is the centerpiece of a global corporate strategy. The movie was made by the film division of the newly formed conglomerate AOL Time Warner. With everything from television to magazines and internet service, they reach customers 2.5 billion times a month. New York writer Ken Auletta calls the movie release the Harry Potter offensive.
I have heard them say that you won't be able to move an inch without confronting Harry Potter. And we see this as perhaps the biggest movie franchise in the history of movies.
Harry Potter will be used to sell AOL Time Warner toys, games, T-shirts, music, and internet service. Magazines owned by the media giant feature Harry Potter. Click on Movie Phone on the internet, owned by AOL Time Warner. There's Harry. But Warner executives say they know that even amidst all this, they still need to protect what's known in movie speak as a valuable literary property.
We have to be very careful to not exploit, not over-commercialize, not take it from the kids and turn it into something that it's not.
Some critics say they already have.
What they're doing to Harry Potter is making it another widget inside the larger corporation. It's not about magic or fantasy or wizardry even. It's about selling more subscriptions.
Harry Potter is opening to tepid reviews, too faithful to the book, some say.
Come on now, hurry up!
But with 6 more books still to convert, there's plenty of time to build a film and marketing franchise that could last until young Harry is a wizened wizard. Brian Rooney, ABC News, Hollywood.
That's our report on World News Tonight. Tomorrow on the broadcast, hunger in the country, what the terrorist attacks have meant to the nation's food banks. Don't forget Nightline. I'm Peter Jennings. I hope you have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
It's not easy defending criminals.
Don't threaten me. She perjured herself, and you know it.
I don't know anything of the kind. But whoever said it would be.